Okay, so welcome to the Kleeneze training webinar. My name is Chris Smith. Um, Today's webinar is goals and attitude. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Hopefully it'll take about half an hour or so. Please ask any questions while we're going along. I'll try to answer them. If not, I always stay on the webinar at the end for 10 minutes so I can answer any questions after we've kind of finished. So this is one of 8 webinars which I do on a Wednesday night, one a week. So every 8 weeks we go back to the beginning again. As you can see there, the first 3 are to do with getting started, getting your catalogues and so on, and then there's a couple 4, 5, and a bit of number 6 which are more to do with the team building side of the business, and then 6, 7, and 8, which we're doing now, are the more kind of intangible skills that you will find have a huge impact on your success as a distributor. So we're just going to start on goals and attitude. As you can see there, next week will be personal development, and then we're back to the beginning again in a couple of weeks. So what we're going to cover tonight, a little bit about whether your attitude is important or not. And hopefully you'll agree with me that it is. And if you agree that it is, what things can affect your attitude? I also talk about goal setting because I think goals are important and they will have an impact on your attitude. And I also explain why you should spend a bit of time on goal setting. Don't just kind of do it for 5 minutes while you're in the bath. It kind of actually needs a bit of work. So let's start with your attitude. Is it important? Well, my view is it is, and the reason for that is this. Every distributor starts off with exactly the same opportunity. We all start off with the same catalogues. All those catalogues have exactly the same products. We all have the same costs in the business, the same delivery charges if we have small orders to put in, same distributor services costs and so on. And we all have the same rewards. We all have exactly the same payment plan. But why is it then, if we all have exactly the same opportunity, that some are more successful than others? And my answer to that is it's all to do with your attitude. A quick question for you. How do you feel when you get up normally? Are you one of these people that says, I'm going to get those catalogues out whatever it takes? There's no such thing as bad weather, just the wrong clothes, that kind of attitude. Or do you sometimes wake up and think, I'm not feeling so great today, maybe I'll put them out tomorrow. That'll be good. It'll probably be sunnier tomorrow, so I might do that. The thing is, successful people do what they know they should do, even when they don't feel like doing it. So, where do we go from here? Having a good attitude, having the I'm going to get those catalogues out whether it's raining or not, whether I feel well or not, getting those catalogues out, that attitude makes the difference between whether you get them out or not in the morning. Might also make the difference about whether you smile to your customers or not. And that will lead to whether or not you build a good rapport with your customers or not. And building a good rapport with your customers is critical if you're going to build a strong, reliable customer base. Your attitude will also determine whether you bother putting out some advertising leaflets or not. If you're looking into doing some team building and you've decided, right, I'm going to put some leaflets out, I want to put a couple of hours leafleting 2 or 3 times a week. If you've got a good attitude, you'll put them out whatever you're feeling like. And that might also lead to, if people reply to those adverts, to your leaflets, but you're not feeling too great, maybe you'll think, I won't bother calling them up, I'll just send them the information. And that can make the difference between whether or not you bring that extra team member in this month or not. And the strong team is what will provide you with a big residual income. So, if we agree that your attitude makes a difference between getting those catalogues out or putting those leaflets out, then by following that through, that attitude will make the difference between whether you're earning £50 a week or 500 a week, maybe 500 a month or 5,000 a month. I hope you'll agree that your attitude makes a big difference. So, what can we do about it? Sometimes your attitude kind of it's something that feels a bit, I don't know, intangible, I suppose is a word for it. It's not like a skill where you can learn how to speak French, or you can learn how to uh, walk. We all learn how to walk at some point. But if we want to learn how to have a better attitude, how do we go about that? Well, there's a variety of things that we're going to talk about. One is what I've called, or not me personally, but what we call your life philosophies. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the next module, but just bear that in mind. Well, a good thing, a big effect, what's the word I'm looking for? A big impact on your attitude is some success. Success has a big help. If you're successful, putting catalogues out, getting orders and so on, then it improves your attitude. It gives you encouragement for doing what you know you should be doing. And what is success? Well, it's just achieving some goals. If you've set yourself a target and you've achieved it, then you've been successful. And that success leads you to feel that you can do it again and again. And that encouragement, that excitement that builds, that momentum, just sort of steamrollers any poor attitude that you might have and tends to result in a good attitude. So, if we've said that a good attitude will lead to a successful business and achieving some goals will lead to a good attitude, then hopefully you'll agree it makes sense to set some goals. And I'm a big believer in setting a variety of goals that you want to set. It's not just I'm going to set one goal and when I've done that one I'm going to set the next one. You need to have a number of different kinds of goals. So you need to have short-term goals, things that you can achieve in the next month or so. And even daily goals is great. If you can achieve something every day that you set out to do, then that's great for your motivation. Medium-term goals are a bit bigger, a bit more exciting, a bit more interesting, and they're good as well. And then longer-term goals are the really, really big visual things. So people set long-term goals for having a villa in Spain, or having a really nice car, or being able to buy your own house, whatever it might be. Long-term goals are often very challenging, but very exciting if you can achieve them. I'm going to expand on this in a moment. So, when you set goals need to be something that it takes you something to get there. Sorry, I didn't say that very well. There's no point in setting a goal which you can achieve very, very easily, because there's no satisfaction in achieving a very easy, simple goal. You need to set goals which are challenging so that when you achieve them, they're very satisfying. But because they're challenging, then you need to have a strong reason for wanting to do them. Your why needs to be strong. So let's just expand on that a little bit. So first off, you set some goal. Maybe then you create a plan for how you're going to achieve that goal, whatever it might be. I'm going to put out my catalogues today, and then I'm going to pick them all up on Thursday, and then I'm going to put them straight back out again Friday morning. Whatever your plan is to achieve your goal, and you start taking those first steps. So you go and start putting your catalogues out, and then some obstacles appear. So halfway around, you're putting your catalogues out, and it starts raining, and you're thinking, oh God, I'm not sure I really want to do this. Or you start collecting the catalogues up, and you get some grumpy so-and-so that says, oh no, I'm sorry mate, I've no idea what I've done with your catalogue, I've probably thrown it away. These obstacles will appear whatever you do. And so you need to have a good reason for why you want to overcome those obstacles. So whether that is, whatever your reasons are for joining Kleeneze, you need to have a very clear view in your mind of what you're hoping to achieve from it. So that can be as simple as you want to be able to buy yourself your first, a brand new Dyson vacuum cleaner or something. Or it could be you just want to be able to pay off that credit card debt, or whatever it might be. If you've got a strong reason for it, then that will help you to overcome those obstacles. So, that's exactly what I just said. Blimey, I must have done this before sometime. So, as I said, a strong reason why will motivate you when you do come across those obstacles. And what I find is it's really good if you've got a reason which is emotional. So having a reason which is just something like, I'd like to be able to save up £150 might be great, but it's kind of a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Just a kind of a logical thing, if you like. There isn't a lot of emotion behind it. I find that goals which are related to your family or something that's very personal to you work much, much better. So I'll give you a little example. If you put a plank of wood on the ground, how to put a plank of wood on the ground, a normal plank, I don't know how long they are, sort of 20 feet or something like that, 6 inches wide, and said, if you can walk along that without falling off, I'll give you £20. I'm sure you would think, yeah, I'll put my hands out, walk along it carefully, I'm sure I can do that for 20 quid, easy money. If I then put that plank in between two 100-story buildings right at the top, whatever it is, 800 feet off the ground, and say, there you are, walk from this building to the other building, I've got that 20 quid for you again. You'd probably say, no way, crikey, you must be bonkers, I wouldn't do that just for 20 quid, you think I'm crazy. However, if your young daughter was in the other building, and the other building was on fire, and she was terrified, and the only way she could get to safety was if you went over there and picked her up and brought her back, I reckon you'd probably say, you'd make it along that plank, whatever, wouldn't you? You'd sort of say, right, I'm not going to look down, I'll hang on to it, I'll go across on my hands and knees, whatever. You'd make it there, you wouldn't want the 20 quid. And the task has been exactly the same. It's the reason that has overcome that obstacle, that the height, the fear, was the obstacle, but you had a strong reason for why you would do it. So hopefully that kind of makes sense a little bit. So, getting back to your goals, your goals related to why you've joined Kleeneze. I find that a useful thing to do is to spend a little bit of time thinking about your goals. The goals are, if you like, the results. The goal at the end of it is the results, and you will need to take some actions in order to achieve those goals. And I find it useful if you've done a little table like this, where your long-term goals, your medium-term goals, and your short-term goals are kind of related to each other. So I'll give you some examples here. So maybe you've got a short-term goal that you want to be able to earn a £500 bonus check at the end of a month because, whatever, you've wanted to treat your mum to a weekend in London because she hasn't been very well lately, so you really want to give her a big treat. So your target is to earn a £500 bonus so you can do that. So, what are the actions you would need to do in order to earn that bonus? Well, maybe it would be you'd put 200 catalogues out twice a week. Or maybe that you'll deliver 500 leaflets twice a week to try and find some team members. And by doing maybe both of those, you would soon get to the point where you'd earn your £500 bonus. If we look towards, say, a more medium-term one, maybe you've got a car that's getting on a little bit, you need to pay off the car loan so you can afford something a bit better. So maybe you then need to think, okay, what are the actions that I need to take between now and, by medium term, short term, I normally think of as kind of within 6 to 12 months you could achieve it. A medium term would be maybe 1 to 5 years, something like that. So maybe you've got a car loan, you want to be able to pay that off. So, what are the tasks, the actions, if you like, that you would take in order to achieve those results? Maybe you want to carry on blanketing until you've got a customer base of 500 customers. If you've got 500 customers, you're delivering 100, 150 catalogues a week to those, and that'll give you a nice regular income. And on top of that, maybe you decide, right, I'm going to talk to 10 people a day about the business. That might not be all 3-foot ruling, but it might be you do some leafleting, so you'll get some leads from that. Maybe a couple of people that you'll 3-foot rule. Maybe 1 or 2 leads you get off the internet, wherever they come from. But if your actions are, every day I'm going to talk to 10 people, and then you know that, having that customer base, talking to enough people every day, you will get some people to join your business, and as your team grows, your income will grow, and so you'll hit that goal. You'll pay off that car loan. And maybe a long-term goal, you paid off your car loan, what you'd really love to be able to do is to buy that brand new Mercedes that you've always wanted. So what are the things that the actions that you might feel you need to take in order to be able to do that? Well, maybe you need to generate 30 leads a week. When I first started my upline, Bob Dalton and Sue Marshall, who introduced me to the business, one of the first meetings that we said, Bob said to me, if you want to grow your business, you need to be generating at least 30 leads a week. So that's a good place to start. So if you want to generate 30 leads a week, and maybe as you're building your team, you want to run some team training. That could be a webinar like this, or maybe a weekly sizzle if you're recruiting people local to you so you can get them all together, or maybe a bit of both. But you need to have these actions that will lead to whatever the results are that you're looking for. So what I'm trying to get to you here, we talked a bit at the beginning about your attitude and the fact that the attitude is really important to your success. And we also talked about a way to help your attitude is to have successes, to achieve goals. So by having short-term goals, and if your goal is to earn this £500 bonus so you can treat your mum to a weekend in London, then every week you can put out 200 catalogues twice a week and think, yes, I've achieved my goal for this week was to put out 200 catalogues twice a week. And you can do that. Nothing can stop you from doing that if you set your mind to it. If you put the wet clothes on if it's raining, you might feel a bit rough, but take a Lemsip, out you go, put those catalogues out. If you really want to, you can do that. And by achieving that target, by achieving your goal of putting your leaflets out twice a week, you know that eventually you will get these results. So these little successes that lead to a big result will gradually improve your attitude, and it then becomes almost kind of like one of these self-fulfilling things where you're constantly hitting little targets, setting yourself more challenging ones, achieving them, believing more in it, and that momentum gradually leads you to your medium-term goals and your longer-term goals. So, as I was kind of talking about there, the success of all those little tasks that you achieve, each week you get a small little success, so you get a bit more motivated. Every couple of months, maybe you get a bigger success, so you achieve your £500, you go for a weekend in London with your mum, you have a great time, you're really motivated to do something else with her. And every year you achieve some long-term goal or medium-term goal, so you pay off that car debt, you sort of save up the deposit for the house, whatever these long-term goals are, and that just gives you serious motivation. And all of these things are constantly improving your attitude. Sorry, I just want to swig a cup of tea a moment, bear with me. So, as you're going through your Kleeneze business, you're setting yourself these little targets, you're achieving some small successes and some larger successes. What should you expect? What will happen? Well, hopefully, when you're first starting off, and Janine, I know I was speaking to you briefly earlier, hopefully you've got some excitement at the moment. You've started this new business, you've got some goals, and you think you found something that's going to help you do that. So everyone's excited. You do everything that you say to yourself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful at this. And after a while, you sometimes come across an obstacle, as I was saying earlier. And if you're not careful, a little bit of self-doubt can creep in. You start to sort of doubt that you can do it. You maybe get a bit frustrated, or some negative people will say, oh yeah, I had a cousin who tried that for a couple of days, but it didn't really work. And sometimes what will happen, and it can happen to everybody, you're feeling really down, you hit the pits. And this can happen after 2 days, 2 months, 2 years. And it's a normal phase which happens to everyone. And you start to do things like you stop going to your local meeting, or you find excuses for not putting your catalogues out, or you start to find faults with things. We had another out of stock this week. Crikey, what's going on? You find things that you're not happy with. But if you've had these successes and you've got into the habit of achieving your targets, little targets every day, then that good attitude leads you to fight that. If you're prepared for the fact that you're going to have a couple of down, a few bad days, then you start to fight it. You're prepared for that. And your approach at that point, your attitude, is that you'll never give up, because you know that your next success is just around the corner. When you get into the habit of having little successes every day and big successes every week and bigger ones every month, you get into the habit of being successful, and you know there's another one just around the corner, and you start to focus on your goals, not on the obstacles. So you get back to attending events, you get back to communicating with your upline and your crossline and your downline especially, and all of these things are as a result of your great attitude. Okay, couple of quick questions to make sure everyone's been awake this evening. So if you joined late, there's no excuses. Okay, has anyone got any short-term goals they'd like to share with us at the moment? Janine, you've just started. What would you like to achieve in your first couple of weeks? Any ideas? Brian Kirkpatrick, nice to see you on board, Brian. Now, Brian, you're one of the youngsters amongst us. What are your goals at the moment? It's all gone quiet. Sounds like a football song. Oh, it's all gone quiet over there. Aha. Thanks, Adele. A new computer. That's a great idea. I really like it when people have got kind of goals that you can really see. Type answer in bottom left corner. Thanks, Punit. Yes. I hope everyone, I've got to admit, sorry, when I started, I know there was quite a few people who joined us after I'd started, and for those of you who haven't been on this before, you'll if you were just talking to me, I'm afraid I can't hear you. You'll need to type away in the little box there, as Punit has said, in the bottom left-hand corner there. But anyway, so hopefully you've all got some goals that you're aiming towards, and Alex, good one, mate. A nice iPad mini. I've got a smartphone, a little iPhone, which I've got, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I think it's really good. I think one of the things that I'm a really big believer with Kleeneze is that you're always looking for ways to use little pockets of time. There's not many people that start off doing Kleeneze full time, so you're having to sort of find out ways. You know, when I'm dropping the kids off at school and I've got 10 minutes while I'm waiting for something, what can I do in that time? And it's great to have ways of little things that you can do in those small pockets of time. So it might just be, you know, following up on a couple of people that had asked for information or something, and you can do that if you've got your information there. Yeah, no, I think iPads are really good. It's amazing. I'm sure Apple are going to come up with something else in between the iPhone and the iPad and the laptops and the tablets and things. There'll be another one coming out soon. Okay, anybody got any big long-term goals they'd like to share with us? Big long-term goals are often the most exciting, interesting ones, and the challenge for us is that if you only have really big goals, like brilliant, Janine, well, that's a great thing. Having your own house, I think that's a fantastic goal to aim for. And I think the other big thing about that is that's certainly achievable, and once you've achieved that, you can kind of move on to having another goal beyond that. A lot of people, Alex, nice man, nice one, mate. Yeah, Jenny, good one. You're moving up to senior and bronze. I'm senior executive myself. My goal for this year is to get to bronze exec. I'm really pleased. Punit, yeah, I like that, mate. My goal is to get to bronze exec this year, so I would class that as a kind of medium-term goal, I suppose. And next Tuesday, you know, the Tuesday after a couple of weeks, at our local opportunity meeting in Ringwood, Sue has asked me to do the training, and it's all about how to get to bronze exec, so the timing of that's perfect for me. But Alex, Aston Martin, mate, I like your style. That's very good. And whenever I go to, actually I haven't seen it for a while. Whenever we used to go to the millionaires meetings with where Bob Webb was there, he'd often be there in his Ferrari. And I thought, that's a great kind of way for people that like cars. It's kind of a great motivator for people to see, Bob can do that, I can do the same. The trouble is, if your only goal is to get the Aston Martin or the Ferrari, then it's quite a big jump from putting your first 200 catalogues out to earning enough to have a Ferrari. So that's why these little short goals are really, really important. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly finish off now. That was number 7, goals and attitude. So hopefully that's been helpful for people. It's really important to spend a bit of time on your goals, because those little successes that lead to the big successes, those regular little successes really do help your attitude. Next week we're going to be talking about personal development, which is, I think personal development is one of those, it's not a skill in its own right, it's a kind of way of teaching yourself, I suppose, that is really, really useful. It's one of those things that you don't think about when you join Kleeneze. Nobody joins Kleeneze because they think, yes, they've got a fantastic personal development program, but the more you get into it, the more you realise the beauty and the power of that. So hopefully you'll all join me again then. I'm going to hang around for a while now to answer any questions that we've got. Bear with me while I